It is still a very profitable time to invest in mobile homes in senior parks, but you have to know what you're doing. And that's what we're going to talk about in detail on today's video, so stay tuned. My name is John Fedro with mobilehomeinvesting.net. I've been investing in mobile homes for over 23 years, and I want to give you a wake-up call if you are investing in 2025 and you plan to invest maybe in some senior parks. Let's talk about that because things are changing and I want you to be aware and not walk into any mistakes. There's still a lot of value, a lot of profit to be created in senior parks. There's people to help, there's buyers, there's sellers, the parks want our help, but you have to be prepared and you have to have your eyes wide open because things are different than they were last year. The market ebbs and flows, and right now it's ebbing and it was flowing. And so let's talk about that. What does that look like? Is that a death sentence for all the mobile homes in senior parks? No, not at all. Whether you're brand new investing or you are a seasoned mobile home investor, let's talk about the facts, is what that should say. The facts are that there are only so many 55 buyers buying at one period of time. Family parks, there's way more family buyers than there are senior buyers. And by the way, 55 is not senior. 65 is senior. There's over 11,000 people in the United States in 2025 turning 65. Yet senior parks are 55, but that's another video. We'll talk about that in a different video. Snowbirds, Canadians, insurances, weather, lot rent, all of that is affecting partly why there seems to be less senior buyers buying. There's more people selling. There's more homes on the market right now in senior parks. In most parks, we'll talk about that. Not all parks are created equal. We'll talk about that in just a minute. But the snowbirds, they have gone north for, during the spring and summer months and fall, they go north and they don't, so there's less seniors in the South anyway. So if you are in the South, if you are in the southern states, be aware because snowbirds have gone home. Canadians are selling their mobile homes a little bit more than they were before. Insurances have something to do with it, where there's more homes on the market because people can't pay for insurance or they can't get insurance on their mobile home. And there's fires lately, there's hurricanes lately. So, if you have a second home somewhere, if this is a senior property, you may want to sell it. You don't want to pay the higher and higher and higher lot rents. So there's a lot more, seemingly, in many parks, not all parks, there are more mobile homes for sale in 55 plus parks. And then it only takes one person to buy your home. So it's, not doom and gloom. There are a lot of senior buyers still wanting to buy and live in a senior park. Period. It only takes one person, and there's still a lot of seniors. And this is only a moment in time, like I said. So, if you want to kind of turn away from senior parks at the moment, that's okay, but don't let it be a death sentence forever. Not in the slightest. And by the way, if this is past 2025, scroll down into the comments because I'm going to sort of update what's happening and how the market is, and I'll be making more of these videos as well. So now that we talked about some of the facts, let's go to number 2 here. And not all 55 plus parks are created equally or are equal. The first thing to mention is that some are stagnant. Like most senior parks, if the demand is not super high, in general, like housing isn't the big, like, I got to get a house, and everybody's pushing towards housing like they were. I'm sure you can think of like a couple times back, like pre-2008, and then also during COVID, it was like, I got to get a house. Everyone was trying to buy a house. So in some mobile home parks, some senior parks, they're just stagnant. The homes sit on the market, prices are coming down. Meh, that's people's attitude towards being to that park. It's like, meh, it's just an average senior park. And then there's some senior parks that are going fast. People in those parks, they're selling fast. And you might not know if you're not a senior or you're not keeping your finger on the pulse of what's going on. So you have to sort of be a fly on the wall. Don't feel like you have to jump into a home in a senior park. There will be more opportunities. If you miss this bus, guess what? There's another bus coming by. So be aware that most senior parks are stagnant and meh in slower markets and in buyer markets. And then some parks are fast. See, seniors want to be there. People want to be there. And I keep saying seniors. I'm sorry, 55 plus folks. You are not seniors. But for the point of this video, I guess you are. This one, know the application criteria for the park. Does the park want to see a 550 credit score, a 650 credit score, a 700 credit score? All that is huge. If it requires a 700 credit score, that's going to take you an extra literally 5 or 6 months to sell because people are going to be denied and denied, versus a 550 credit score. Most of your buyers, when you go to sell that home, because we want to make it easy, we want the park to be popular, we want the application process to be easy, the easier the better, kind of. Although if it's really, really easy, then it kind of lets in just anybody, riffraff sort of, and then that may bring the park quality down. So there's probably, know the application criteria. This 80, 20, 90, 10, or 100, mobile home parks that are age restricted, sometimes they're not always where 100% of the people have to be 55 plus. Sometimes they have a 90-10 or an 80-20 rule. When the park was created, the bylaws say, well, 80% of the people have to be 55 plus, 20% can be under 55. Usually they can't be any kids, no minors. But again, 80-20, 90-10, ask the manager, because if you can sell to somebody under 55, that dramatically opens up the pool of buyers that can buy the home. Pet restrictions, pretty obvious. Seniors like their pets. Everyone likes their pets. So make sure the park isn't too strict on no pets. That will scare away a lot of buyers that have pets. And then be aware if this park is seasonal or a full-time park. When I say seasonal, usually they don't close. Sometimes they do, like when it's off season. But normally a seasonal park will mean there's way more people here at one time of the year, and then during another time of the year, it drops down to 80% of the people have left and they've gone home. Whether that's in the winter or the summer months. But is this park seasonal, or is it more of a full-time park? That's not too much of a detriment either way, but it's just good to know kind of what park that you're dealing with. And then how does this affect you? What does this actually, you can still see it. What does this actually mean for us investors and for buyers? I want to include you buyers if you're still watching. Let's say that there's homes for sale in the park. And that's under 10% of the park has homes for sale. So if the park is like 100 spaces, there's less than 10 homes for sale. There's over 10 homes for sale here. Over 20 homes in that park that has 100 spaces, 100 homes. There's over 20 homes for sale. And there's over 33 homes for sale. Like a third of the park is selling. What is going on here? So let's talk about real quick. If you're a buyer, do this. If you're an investor, definitely do this. So first thing, let's go from like best to worst. And you can obviously probably read this ahead of time, but let's go through it together. Less than 10%, if you're a regular buyer, screen the park, know what you're getting into, screen the management, make sure that you love the location. Let's go down here to over 10%. Still, like all of this is kind of the same actually. These two right here, under 10%, over 10%. If you're gonna buy in the park and live there, make sure you like the neighbors, make sure you wanna stay for years, make sure you realize lot rent is going to increase some. You can maybe ask the neighbors, hey, how often does lot rent increase in here usually? And then if there's over 20%, find out why there's so many for sale. And if there's over a third of the park selling, not only find out why there's so many for sale, but make sure that issue is resolved. Is the park, is there some kind of big water fiasco? And the water keeps getting shut off, or the park management is terrible, or they're kicking people out, or, what is this problem? Where clearly this is very abnormal. And so let's go over here to investors. If there's 20% or more or 33% or more, pass on the deal. Or get free lot rent until it's sold, which you can usually only do if you're buying from the park. If you're buying from a resident in the community, you're not going to be able to get that. The park's not going to give you free lot rent. But if you're buying from the park, you can negotiate some free lot rent. Probably not till it's sold, but you have to protect yourself first. Again, there's always going to be another bus coming by with another deal. There's always another opportunity. So don't just jump into something to jump into it. And if you can get free lot rent for a long time in this type of situation, make sure you have an edge. Here's what I mean. The home's a lot nicer than the competition. It's bigger. There's a nice view. I mean, this is like the only home in the park with this type of beautiful view, and everybody's jealous. That's the kind of home you might want to invest in. Or you can take payments. When you go to sell, that's an edge. If you can take payments, most people can't. And so you can take payments, or you move the home out of the park. Depending on the age of the home and how many additions it has, the manager's not going to like you, but you move the home out of the park, and you're the cheapest thing around. And that we're going to kind of repeat this, because 20 to 33%, that's kind of a big pass. That, for senior parks, that's what you should be thinking is pass. This right here, over 10%, between 10 and 20%, much more normal. Have an edge. And again, it repeats itself. Have an edge. Make sure you have a nicer home that can be cheaper than the competition. There is going to be homes that sell in that park, and I want yours to be first. We don't make money holding on to mobile homes or being delusional that we can sell them for a certain price. We make money by selling homes and turning them. So we have to buy them at much cheaper prices, especially, and I say much cheaper prices than before. So just make sure you know you are buying the home with your end buyer in mind. You want to make the seller happy. That's the one you're talking to, before to get the deal, but you have to think about the end buyer, period. And you have to build yourself in a good profit, or just don't do the deal. Let the seller sell to someone else who wants to buy it and pay more. And then if the park has a lot of park-owned homes, that's what POH is, park-owned homes, they will likely sell faster than yours. So if the park is selling, if let's say it's over 20%, but like 10% of those are the park selling mobile homes, be aware of how they're selling. Will they take payments? Because if so, they will probably sell their homes faster than yours. And if there's 10 park-owned homes and then yours, you might have to, they might have to sell all those park-owned homes first before your home seems desirable, unless the manager really wants to help you. And I say all of this not to be a wet blanket at all. We are still actively, just this past week, we bought a mobile home for in the 4,000s. We sold it for in the 27,000. And then they go way higher than that in senior parks. I mean, there's like resort style parks. And so senior parks are still, there's deals there, period. I mean, sellers need to sell, buyers absolutely want to buy, but it's important that we know everything that's on this board behind me. So I hope that made sense. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email, comment below. Again, this is not a death sentence for senior parks at all. And like I said, it's just a moment in time. But anyway, hope that made sense. Hope that was clear to you. Again, if you have any other questions or comment, please feel free to comment them below. Thanks so much for watching.